Your seat's right over here. Okay, we don't have any more seats, so we're going to get started. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
prayer.
Father, we just come to you in the name of Jesus, Lord God, on the day, Lord God, just to say thank you, Lord God, for your grace and your mercy, Lord God. And Lord God, as we're going through this celebration, Lord God, the new council lady and the new mayor, Lord God, that you are leading God, Lord God, to do what's right, Lord God, for the town, Lord God. So we praise you, we thank you for all that you're doing. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Well, for my last opening remarks, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to serve again. It's been a real pleasure. So with that, no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your new elected officials. Mr. Gary Weber is your new mayor. He's going to get sworn in just a minute. Melissa Weiner is Central Council Person, and Latoya Purnell is Western Council Person on her second term. So with that, no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the clerk of the court so we can get them sworn in so they can start the town business. And I'm going to leave.
You do swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States. You will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof. And that you will, to the best of your skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of mayor for the town of Stoneville, Maryland, according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
I do. Melissa.
You do swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States. You will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof. And you will, to the best of your skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Central Council Member for the town of Stoneville, Maryland, according to the Constitution and laws of this state. You do swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States. You will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof. And that you will, to the best of your skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Western council member for the town of Stone Hill, Maryland, according to the Constitution and laws of this state?
I do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn the gavel over to you. You can review the minutes. Review the minutes.
No problem, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Again, we are moving down the, I don't know if there weren't probably enough agendas, but the next thing is the approval of the minutes. Okay. Melissa? Let's go backwards. We kind of got out of order. Melissa Entnoyer, who's head of the election board, is here to present the official election results.
The official election results of 2019 were as follows, as we see. For mayor, Mr. Gary Weber with 270 votes. Mr. Richard Thompson had 142. Ms. Catherine Freeman had 57. For Central District, we had Jenny Hall with, don't have my glasses, 51, and Melissa Wiedner with 124. For Western District, Ms. Latoya Purnell had 80, and Mr. Mark Nixon had 54. Good.
Thank you, Melissa. And Melissa did a wonderful job with the election. She was answering lots of phone calls from new candidates, and she's new to the position, so thank you, Melissa, for all your hard work. So we have been sworn in, and the minutes, we have all received them in advance. I think they were online. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve them? Or you want to take some time to read them? I think everybody actually has a copy. Thank you. Do I have a second? All those approved?
Aye.
And the financial report would be presented by, are you doing all of that? You're not. Okay, so the financial report is in your packet as well. We have no one to present. Does anyone have any amendments or any questions as to the financial report? Council? Okay, I make a motion we approve the financial report. I call for a motion that someone please keep the financial report. You've got a motion, is there a second? Second. Second, all those in favor? Aye. All right, moving on. We have our town manager report. I'm not sure, Jordan, were you doing that one, or? No additional. Any questions from council? Any comments from council? Motion to accept. Motion to accept. And second? We have motions to accept and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is now, Jordy, economic development report. I know you got that.
Yes.
Okay.
So in addition to what I have in my report, first Friday, it was calling for rain, but it decided not to, so it was really great. The next first Friday, we're going to still be doing the live entertainment, crash bar, extended business hours, kids corner, and we've had really good compliments on the way we've been doing First Friday the past 2 months. We've been doing some promotional giveaways, different things like that, so we just always pray for no rain. And then additionally, Del Vecchio's Bakery is going to be opening at 116 West Green Street, so we're really excited about that. So that's all I have in addition.
I don't know that the word has gotten all the way around town. I'd be surprised if it hasn't. It is Snowville after all. But Jordy has taken a new position at the county, at the Board of Education. So she's going she promised me she'd still be here, and she volunteered to help us out. So I want to give a big round of applause for Jordy. That was, this past Friday was just wonderful. It's like the old days of Snow Hill. If you remember the days of Dancing Under the Stars, that's what it reminded me of, because they had the band, it wasn't under the pavilion, but on Pearl Street, they did have a bar and food and all kinds of wonderful things. So it was a great event, and I hope we can continue to do them. So thank you for starting that and setting them up, and hopefully it will become a new tradition. The next thing on the agenda here is code enforcement report. Marty?
Pretty much straightforward, nothing to add.
You're good with it? All right, any questions from council? Okay, motion to accept? So we- Okay, you're good with that? All right. Next, Public Works report. Randy, you got anything to add to your report?
I have nothing else to add. I just want to congratulate you and Melissa and Latoya.
Thank you.
And things I have to do, I'm on the sewer department also. I was asked, it's been a couple weeks ago, out in Arnshaw, the lift station upgrade, it should have been started this week, but they're running behind on some pumps and all. And it's going to be a big goddamn pump there, just so if anybody asks. And I'm going to try to set the floats as high as I can to keep it from running no more than it's got to, for annoying people at nighttime. So just have to bear with us. It's going to take about a week or 10 days once we get started, which will be about the next week or two. So just bear with us, and it'll all be done, and have ready to be finished.
Cindy, museum report?
Yeah, I just want to hit a couple of quick highlights. Our first Friday reception went great, and I hate to see Joy go. She really helps promote our activities that are there, but I also want to thank Dan Colburn. We had a wonderful First Friday event with maybe a record number for a First Friday in the museum. It was, excuse me, pardon me, with your wine glass everywhere. But Dan worked really hard to get an exhibit up for our students, and we're going to start a new series where we'll be highlighting new Snow Hill or local artists each year in this slot. So we'll be, everybody will be hearing from me. I'll be connecting with local artists, so that we'll have an annual exhibit of some of their work. And just a couple of quick things. I know you all can read the report perfectly well, but on June 20th, the Maryland State Arts Council is coming to the museum to film us and interview us and talk to us about the local cultural heritage community. We're the oldest museum on the Eastern Shore, the second oldest in Maryland, so we got picked for them to come and film us for a series of short films that they're producing. So we're excited about that. They're coming in the late afternoon when the museum might not normally be open, so I'm probably going to put out some snacks and invite people to come so that it's not empty when they're there, even though we're closed, we're going to be open anyway. So watch the Facebook of what's happening in Snow Hill and the museum to see and come hang out with us, and you can be a star, you can be in the film. And then lastly, we're working again hard on the National Folk Festival in Salisbury in September. Even though it rained last year and the weather was terrible, our area still did really well, maybe because we were under a giant tent, everybody could get in and out of the rain, and we have captive audience where we have to enrich them and enculturate them. But we did the food waste tent last year. This year we're working in the family tent, which is where they do all the kids' activities, and that's sort of right up our wheelhouse. So we are working on those activities. We've been asked to help with it, and it ends up being a great way for us to promote the museum and Snow Hill to such a big audience all in one shot. So we're working to get on that this year. And there's a lot of other things going on, but I won't read them all, but those are the highlights.
All right, next on our list, we have a new police chief in town, Mr. Andy McGee, brand new. He got sworn in yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And I guess you've done your homework last night, so you didn't.
First of all, thank you to the council for the opportunity, and congratulations to you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, we're really just gearing up for the big 4th of July event at the end of the month. I can tell you, 26 years of doing fireworks displays in Shao, Pearl, and Ocean City, this is by far the best event, so we're going to make sure it's safe for the family. Obviously, parking is always a concern. I've already reached out to our allied agencies for assistance, so we'll be having Public Works, Fire Police, and Sheriff's Office, State Police, as we can get them. Still have 2 positions within the department to fill. I'm looking at applications as we speak. I'm only on day 2, so So I'm just working through the weeds right now, making sure there's any housekeeping issues that need to be taken care of. And everyone here, my door's open. I know when we can get the door open, but I will be in there. I will be an active chief, 11 a.m. to about 7 p.m. is when you're going to see me mostly in town, so I can be out here at nighttime too. I know we're shorthanded right now. We're really dependent on allied agencies for help, but we're going to make some corrective actions on that. Hopefully, my goal is to have a full staff by Labor Day. So, very good.
Okay, now we go to old business, ordinance number 2019-04, and it's the zoning amendment that allows for restaurants to be in historic inns or in historic properties. They have to qualify with, parking and all that kind of thing. But this means that some of our larger properties that are historic might become a destination restaurant in the future. Right now, we currently have the River House Inn, who really kind of instigated this. So if all goes well, we'll have a restaurant on the river in the not too distant future. Jordy, do you want to take over?
Sure. I just have a little bit of a reading for this. It is ordinance number 2019-04, an ordinance of the Town of Snow Hill to amend Chapter 200 of the Town Code by adding regulations on an inn. Whereas the Town of Snow Hill is authorized by Maryland Annotated Code Article 66B 4.01 to enact and administer a zoning ordinance, which ordinance is Chapter 200 of the Snow Hill Town Code. And whereas the Town of Snow Hill is authorized by Maryland Annotated Code Article 66B 4.04 and 4.05 to amend, supplement, modify, or repeal sections of the zoning ordinance, and whereas the Snow Hill Planning Commission has requested to add language to this chapter as follows. There's just a bunch of language on here, and you guys are good with it, and just a picture signatures down here.
Okay, so ready for the vote? All those in favor of this ordinance, passing this ordinance?
I make a motion to
I'm
approve
sorry,
it.
motion to approve, second? Second, all in favor? Aye. The ayes have it, so we now have the ability to have restaurants that are historic inns. Awesome. So we sign this now? So just so you know, if all of you, anybody wants to, after the meeting tonight, the River House has graciously offered their poolside deck area for a little celebration reception, and everyone here is invited to attend. There will be refreshments. New business. So this I'm not sure what we need to do. I know that we have, was mentioned earlier, John Del Vecchio, who's been selling his breads and pastries and Italian cookies and things at our farmers market and also on our First Fridays. Is leasing the where patty cakes used to be. So we now have cupcakes and things being made again on Green Street. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the economic benefits offered to people who open businesses in town. We have a fund of some money there. I'm not sure. I think it's like $40,000 or $50,000, kind of a revolving fund where people can borrow up to $10,000 on a revolving. For a low interest, and helps them get started. And so John is. I guess applying for that, and I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with that. You got it, okay.
And yeah, the loan actually you can apply for up to $20,000 now. He's applying for $10,000, and Kelly and Trish have reviewed the application, and he's putting his house up for collateral, and they recommend approval. So I have all the information here, so if you guys, if you want to look at it, you can, or if not, you can go ahead and sign.
Right, and I believe, I think with these loans also, it's not just town staff. I believe they put it before a bank official as well, like the Lee Chisholm. Did he look at this one, or?
No, we just need the credit score, so we have the credit score
Okay.
report and everything like that, and all management.
That must have changed since the last time I heard of it. But he's putting up his house, so that's pretty, I think that's pretty good. We don't, you can't really sell that. Do you want to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the loan, Stone Dove, I feel for $10,000.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, excellent. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear this. Okay, that's that. Okay, now we have Tom Ide here tonight. I don't know if he's here tonight, but he's there. There you are. Sorry, okay, came in. So what we have is he presented at the last work session. There is kind of a combo project that they presented, and they're looking for a letter of support from mayor and council. It doesn't mean they get the go-ahead, the green light. It still has to go before planning and zoning, and there'll be a lot more eyes on it, and Marty will be involved in that. But just in the overall, I think it has to do with the timing for loans and the state's involvement. So, anyone familiar with Heritage Court? So otherwise known as divorce court? Anyway, it's a townhouse development of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. And they were built in like 83. And so they're in dire need of major overhaul. So it's the part of this is to totally renovate inside and out all of the 30 units that are there. And then also to build 24 3-bedroom units in addition to a community building with laundry and 2 playgrounds, I believe, for that. It is zoned for it. There are no real special exceptions needed. And so the council had some great questions, and they were the answers were very good. But just kind of in a nutshell, we were hoping that by building this housing development, we could hopefully get citizens who are living at below standard quality, housing, that we could get them first on the list and fill that list up so it's Snow Hill citizens being pulled out of unsatisfactory living situations. And then that living situation, no one can rent that again until it's fixed and right and up to code. So that's my hope is that we can do that. And because they're not going to be building for over a year, we can inspect and identify and bring these people, let them know there's brand new, clean housing, safe housing, and they might be able to afford. Now, not everybody will be able to afford it because it is on a multiple scale. I think 10 of the units are for the lower, and then there's 10 in the middle that are a little higher, and then 10 at the top, which are closer to market rate. There's a perception in town that we have too much subsidized housing. But per capita, we have very little subsidized housing. We have a lot of low-cost housing, low-rent housing, low-quality housing. That's what we have. And so the only way to get rid of low-quality housing is to build high-quality housing and move the people who are living in low quality into the high quality. So that's the goal, that's the plan. And in tandem with that, we need to focus on building, single-family homes for people over 55, all of that kind of thing. So this is all the big picture, and we're working toward that. So I know what people are thinking and saying. I read a lot of the Facebook stuff. But I personally support this, and I'm going to work very hard to transition people who are living in substandard situations into a healthy, clean environment. Do I have a motion to approve writing this first letter of support so that we can move forward to put it in front of the people? You will all have a chance to come to, I think, planning meetings, planning and zoning, ask questions, and be involved. So this is just a letter, preliminary letter of support. And so do I hear a motion? Do you want to open it up to that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have, but you are here, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, we'll open it up for questions then, since Mr. Ide is here. Please stand, state your name.
Yes, please. My name's Dan.
Right, you go. Sorry.
And I do live in the subsidized house. My question is, if you're going to be building this, is it going to be subsidized enough that the people who are transitioning, moving, whatever you want to call it, from substandard housing, which we've got a lot of renters out here that are gouging people with substandard living arrangements and everything, they don't care. Are they going to be able to move into those places and afford it according to what they're paying now? Or are they going to be so high that they're still going to be out on the street?
Well, I would say that it really depends on the individuals and what their income level is. We may not everyone will be able to afford, but the levels. Do you have your paper, Tom? He'll tell you those.
So the proposed project utilizes supportive housing programs using state and federal resources. The existing units will continue. The existing units at Heritage Court will continue to serve the same population. And the new units, the new 24 townhomes will serve all income bands, those making less than 30% of the area median income, those making less than 40% of the area median income, 50% of the area median income, and 60% of the area median income. So rather than offering a deep rental subsidy to target populations exclusively below 30% of the area median income, we're offering a range of income targets to serve.
But there will be homes for the people that, like right now, I live in Maple Hill, which I pay 30% of my income. Are you going to have some for people like that? Because there's people of need in this town. The old school over here that they rent out is a farce. They need a place to live where it's decent.
This is exactly what our program is tailored.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, so to answer the question there, as far as it just depends on your income and the availability at the time. So I wouldn't abandon my current residence until I was accepted into the new. So there will be some transitioning. I do know also, just a little fact or a little bit of information that I found out being on the board of the Scoville Citizens for Decent Housing. New Hope Village, which is a subsidized development in town. I think they have 36 units, I might be wrong, but, or 26, I'm sorry, they have 26 units and 18 of them are paying market rent. They're not subsidized. So, so that's kind of like, you know, this kind of thing. This will be subsidized, but not heavily so, just a portion heavily so. Any other questions? Mr. Lee? I'm sorry, Fred, please sit up second.
Fred.
You're next, Mr. Lee.
Who's next? Me?
That's you.
Yeah, okay, where's Heritage Court at? I'm sorry, I don't know where it's at. Back here? Okay. I know where it's at now, thank you.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it will connect to this, and so it will be kind of, you'll be, instead of it being a cul-de-sac in and out the same entrance, if you will be able to, the emergency services will be able to come in one and go right out without having to back up, that kind of thing. So it's a nice cleanup of the design of the current area. Mr. Lee?
Mayor, I applaud you and council, and certainly am supportive of the housing that the young man is offering. We had an opportunity several years ago for a similar venture, here in Snowville, and it didn't go anywhere. And I have a concern. My concern is that in the last time we discussed projects like this, there was a strong emphasis on transitional housing. There was a strong emphasis in terms of training, support, and counseling. As you go forward, Mayor and Council, I encourage you. I understand this is just a letter of support for the project, but I encourage you not to allow this to go forward. If the developer, whoever, and I don't even know where that is at this point, but not prepared to make the kind of commitment to the citizens of Snow Hill that they will put that integral part. Let's not play games. People who are moving from the stair step need different types of support to make that transition, to make that journey. And they haven't had those experiences before. They haven't had those responsibilities a lot of times in this quality. So it's needed. So I'm relying on you, each of you as council, you as mayor, to make certain that that's a part of it, whatever. And I think it's going to be great for the city, for the town. Thank you.
I see Luann in the back.
Hi, my name is Luann Johnson. I just have one question about the order that I just heard you state. That the existing units are going to be renovated inside and out. Where are those people going? It seems as if we built the new ones and moved those people over, then the old ones could be renovated.
So our business nearly exclusively focuses on the preservation of affordable housing, meaning renovation and rehabilitation to existing housing stock. We will implement a relocation plan that will temporarily displace the existing residents during the period of construction. We'll phase construction, but we won't be necessarily moving families from one complex to the new complex upon completion unless that's specifically arranged for ahead of time.
So possibly moving them out of town. Why?
If it's essential. We've got a lot of programs that we work through and a lot of planning that go into the exact nature of our relocation program.
I just think that's an important thing to think about.
Yeah, and we were concerned about that as well at the work session, and they really do go above and beyond. Right now, I believe there are 2 units not rented, so they're going to try and, I guess, over time not rent anything, so why rent it and then have to move people? But especially families with children who are used to going, they're going to be still able, and they supplement them, they give them money, make sure that they can afford to get their children to school and from. And so I mean, it's a state-backed program, so they're protected. And like I say, as we get into it, we'll know a lot more.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Question? Because there's plenty that we're going to be talking for the next year probably before we get anywhere with that. Okay, so now it's comments from the mayor, and I happen to have, the motion for the letter. I'm sorry. Okay, do I have a motion to approve writing the letter of support for this project?
You have a motion.
And second? All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion is carried. You'll get your letter. I don't know who's going to write it, but we'll get it to you. We'll sign it. We'll see who write it. So now it's comments from the mayor, and so let me read from this. I'm not a great memorizer. First of all, I want to thank Steve, the mayor. Steve, are you still here? Well, we're going to thank him anyway for keeping the mayor's chair warm. We appreciate him coming out of retirement and volunteering his time, and we want to thank his wife Debbie for sharing him with us once again. We'd like to welcome tonight, we have a special guest, our former mayor and first lady, Mr. Charlie Norman, and his wife Carol, out in the audience. And most importantly, I want to thank all of you so much for your faith in me. Your support has been truly overwhelming. I want to say congratulations to our newly elected council members. And I wanted to talk about the recent resignations of Kelly, Trish, and Jordy. We'll talk about Jordy. We are going to have to hit the ground running. We've got a lot of positions to fill. But while we're working to fill those positions, I want to assure you that we have a competent core staff in Town Hall ready to meet the challenges and fill in this time of transition. I will be available every day, and I plan to spend several hours a day in the mayor's office for the foreseeable future. And I know your council members will be available as well. Tonight, I'm officially Mayor of Snow Hill. What an honor and privilege it is, and what a great responsibility as well. I promise you that I will do my best to represent your wishes in making decisions on your behalf. I promise to keep you informed every step of the way. With your continued involvement, helping Snow Hill become the best it can be, I'm very optimistic about our future. I look forward to serving you and our town. Thank you. Who wants to go first? Want to go first with Roy? It's easier for the new one.
I'd like to thank everyone that was in support for me. I'm here for my second term. We have a long road ahead, just kind of restoring Town Hall. As you can hear, we just had to redesign from Town Hall, so we will be looking for new employees. That's hard for us, especially starting off a new year. They were great people, great employees, and they've been here for years. So it's going to take some time. Just bear with us through our transition. Pray for us through our transition. We have Gary as the mayor. We're going to entrust him that he's going to do his part, and we as the council have to do our part in order to move forward. I just want to say, we as a community, you guys can play a part too. Just let us know what you need, what you think. A lot of them already tell us what they think. They don't have a problem with it. So continue to bring that input to us, and we will try our best. We're not perfect by far, but we are learning. I'm learning as we go along. So thank you so much for coming out and supporting us today. And like I said, we have a long road ahead of us, but together we can do it.
First and foremost, thank you to everyone that supported me. I was overwhelmed by all the people that came out and helped, and just behind the front and back lines of everything. For me, this just feels like the natural progression of things with me having been back here for 5 years. So I am so excited to work with everyone. Even though I represent the Central District, I'm here to work for everybody, and I can't do this. We can't do this by ourselves. We need everybody to help us. And the folks from here, everybody knows how great it used to be. The come here's, you know what you want it to be, and it's all aligned. It's the same vision. And I mean, just with the River House, that reopening, you know, as a restaurant, and slowly but surely we're going to make things happen. So thank you so much for everything. And I just got business cards, so if you don't have my number, I'm happy to give it to you, and you can just whenever you have a question or concern, I'll do my best to answer them. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Before we move on to comments from the public, I got a little something from the ladies of the council. Our ladies of the council, it sounds like a nunnery or something. These are from our beautiful flower shop. They're really cool looking flowers. They're peonies, but I've never seen them like that. And then also, Lori, a little daisy for you. Thank you for being here. So I open it up to the floor. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I forgot you. Before we go on, Allison's turn. She's the sage.
I mean, I wasn't elected.
She's been helping me. She's been helping me through
I'm
this.
just still here.
I really appreciate that. Sorry, Allison.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just want to welcome both of you, and we've had a lot of things going on in probably this last year, I'd say, and so I'm looking forward to of positive things happening this next year, and encourage everybody to continue coming out to meetings, because it doesn't hardly ever look like this. So that would be really great, because, you know, we read the comments on Facebook, we hear the rumors that are going through town, and there's a lot of misinformation that gets shared, a lot of misperceptions, and that unfortunately is the root of a lot of, you know, relationships that could be better, they could be strengthened. So please utilize us, please call us, please come out. We're going to be looking to find lots of ways to reach you more. And so just let's all work together, and we can really make some great things happen in our town that I know we all love. So thank you.
So as I've heard in the past from previous mayors, if you had a question that you know, during any portion of the meeting, you have a comment or something, this is your time. So anyone have a comment or a question? Yes, sir.
I have a question. I haven't been to a meeting for quite a while, but I was wondering what's the status on the old toy store uptown?
The toy town, we're working to get that reopened. There's a couple of little things that the owners are going to be working on, and we hope to get them open as soon as we possibly can. We are working toward that end.
Well, what was the point of putting the scaffolding up there?
The scaffolding was put there just as a precaution.
Okay.
Not that it's, you know, but it's there. We're trying to protect the public, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. So that's what it's there for.
I got one more. What about the old? What's going on with the old Mac Center? The big brick building.
The old Mac Center. Go ahead, you guys probably know more about that.
We have a group of doctors that are going in there. They're therapists, psychiatrists, so they are renovating the entire interior, and they're going to be operating a really great business there. That's going to be great for the community.
Here?
Yes.
I noticed that the bridge down at Bird Park has been destroyed again. And I know you had a camera up there. Do you know if they know who did this?
I don't believe, I think we were up at a work session a few weeks ago. I don't know if the cameras are up yet.
They've been up for years.
In Bird Park with a little covered, the little bridge.
No, ma'am, they're not up yet. I talked to the mayor.
But there's a camera up there, and it was put up there a while ago. Why isn't it working?
When you say a while ago, you mean like one of the deer cameras?
I don't know what you
Are you
call it.
talking-
There's a camera on the tree that points to the bridge, and it was put up about 2 years ago, the last time the bridge was destroyed.
Oh, Lord, that was way before that. That was back, I wasn't even here then. That camera is not even, it's obsolete. I've already talked to the people about it. The company's from California. They can upgrade that one for around $4,000. A new one is somewhere around between $6,500 and $7,000. I talked to the mayor now, 2 weeks ago, Mayor, and he's looking at these cameras.
Yeah,
They're a whole lot cheaper than that.
Yeah, the camera technology now, they have these cameras as long as you have some internet. If there's motion, sometimes you might want to turn the motion thing off because every time a squirrel walks by, you're like, your phone's going off. But there are very affordable cameras now, and because of that, we can have multiple angles and different things, and we will be, and they're clearer, and they have night capability. So we will hopefully be able to identify. But we will definitely be watching out there, and I'm sure the police chief has been made aware of that, and there'll be a lot more patrolling in that area as well.
What does it cost to repair that bridge?
I'm not sure.
I've already got the spindles and everything else to fix the bridge. I haven't gotten the bill for it yet. Because when we previously talked to the individual about getting the material and all, it was only like 42 spindles kicked out of it. Now it's got 73 spindles that's been kicked out. And the handrails. We've got handrails. Already had those. The spindles were the main thing for it because they had to be certain of that. And, but I talked to the mayor. He came down to the park about a month ago, I guess. And he walked all through there with me. And he agreed also that I would put nothing back on that bridge until we have cameras in that park, because people just vandalizing everything from Christmas decorations right on down the line.
Okay, well, thank you, because I mean, I think that's a very important feature but I hope you'll keep your cameras in working condition so that, not that, I'm not blaming anybody, but I just hope they stay working so that we can catch whoever does it and have them pay for it. Repairs, because they're expensive.
That's what I say. I agree 100%.
Thank you.
Gary, I have a
Yes.
question. John Linton, I'd like to welcome the new police chief. I do have a question, however, about the abrupt and sudden departure of the former police chief. Was a reason given as to why he left so quickly and unexpectedly? And if so, could you share that with us?
It wasn't unexpectedly for us.
Okay.
He had been exploring other opportunities that were coming to him, and he decided to take up.
Okay.
So I know it was very unexpected to the public, but it was.
Thank you.
I think I saw one more hand. Not you. Okay. Oh, Ellen?
Yes. Okay. I'm not a resident, however, I am a store owner and have been since 2005. Where I am on Washington Street between the Blue Dog and the post office is, for me, almost an unfortunate location. Because every time there's a festivity in town, it's down at Pearl Street. I spoke to the prior police chief. I've spoken to a variety of people, and they have suggested that we consider, and this is just a consideration, blocking off our end of Green Street from the municipal lot down to Washington Street and have some of the festivities there. There are a lot of small shops along Washington Street. People are reluctant to go across that street because of the traffic pattern, and when you block off the other side of Green Street, it becomes a barricade. They see it as a barricade, they come up the sidewalk, and they go to the festivities, but they do not come back to their shop, to my shop, to the other ones on Washington Street. And it's unfortunate. Unless I have a lot of entertainment and publish it for all of the local people, we don't get people coming in the first Friday. We set up hors d'oeuvres, we set up treats, we give things away, and we don't get the people who come to town to actually participate. I love the fact that it's going well at Pearl Street, but every single festivity in Snow Hill is up by the old fire station and Pearl Street, and it's a shame. It's at a point where it's like, why bother? Why not just close the door and say, we'll do something else on First Friday?
Noted, and when Jordy's replacement gets here, I promise you I'll pass that along. But definitely, anybody who are on these committees for Main Street and whatever you're thinking about events, put that, put that in the back of your mind. That might be something to think about and do. Anyone else with a comment or a question? That being said, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor? I hope to see every one of you at the River House. We need to follow this again.